Hi, I'm Carolyn.
And I'm Anna. We're two sisters who love handcrafting and figuring things out.
Welcome to episode 6 of The Curious Crafters. Today is Tuesday, June 28th. Now, you're not going to be watching this until later in July, probably 3 weeks from today. So you're like, what? So what we're doing is I'm going to be traveling. We're going to be apart from each other for about 7 weeks. So what we've done is we filmed a couple episodes back to back, and we're just going to be releasing them over July. So today's episode is going to be a little different. So please stay tuned and see what we have in store for you today.
And before we jump in to describe what we're wearing, I want to offer a toast. We have our iced tea today. I have half iced tea, half lemonade going.
I'm straight up black iced tea.
And we are toasting to Carolyn's cross-country adventure, which is starting soon.
Yeah, a couple of days.
Have a great time.
Thank you.
Make sure you send photos.
Thank you.
And enjoy seeing your family on the East Coast.
Great, good. Cheers. Thanks, Anna.
This is my family too, but
you know, just like a beer, like I like to sip it slowly. I think it's the same thing with iced tea. It's like bitter, so you just take a little sip at a time.
Mine's not that bitter because it's loaded with lemonade.
Okay, that's right.
I understand your point.
Okay, true. You got it. Okay, so Anna, what are you wearing?
I am wearing a top that's made out of bark cloth, which has a really interesting texture. It's one of my other favorite kinds of fabric for garments.
I'm not sure I ever touched that before.
And it has princess seams right here, so it has a really nice fit. I don't wear this a lot casually. I wear it mostly to school. It's a pattern called Number 3 Castrop by How to Do Fashion. And it has a lot of seaming, and I remember when I finished it and I kind of wiggled into it, it just went and it fit. It was very satisfying.
And how did, because this bark cloth feels a little heavier, how did all the seaming and everything go with the heavier fabric?
It's fine. Instead of trying French seams or something, I opened up the seams. But I think that's one of the reasons why it feels a little fancier to me. It has a weight to it and sort of a structure to it.
It's not like that flowy rayon.
Right, which I wear a lot in the summer. But I do. This was a really satisfying make, and I love the sleeves too.
Yeah, the looks like the height of the armhole is perfect.
Yeah, that worked out well too.
Yeah, and I like the gold and the blue together.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice.
What are you wearing?
Okay, this is a blast from the past. It's called the Flow Top, and it was designed by Nora Gahn. Any knitter will recognize her name. She's done a lot of innovative design. And I went back to look at the date. I knit this in 2008.
Wow.
It's over 14 years old.
It still looks great.
And when we see it, it's very flowy. And I just throw it in the washer. And I think one time I put it in the dryer because it's shrunk a little bit. I can kind of feel it in the armholes, but that's been over the years. This was some sort of like, I realized it was old because it was like a specialty yarn. People were really into that around like, can I say the turn of the century and into the early 2000s. And at the time I was working one day a month. Oh yeah, wasn't that fun? One day a month at a yarn store, and like this yarn came in, this pattern came in, and all of us, we all made it. So we were like twinsies. So it just is a staple, just seems to fit really well.
The yarn's held up really well.
Yeah, it's called Barocco Seduce. Yeah, it has like these blobs of like silk, I think, in there, and it's kind of open. I have to wear like a cami underneath it, but that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go ahead and insert our catwalk video now. Okay, so here we're really going to spend most of our time today on our We're Curious segment. And what we're curious about is, should we stitch it or should we ditch it?
You heard her. Should we stitch it or should we ditch it?
That's it. So we've each picked 4 projects from a variety of crafts that for some reason we've stalled on them. So we're going to show them to you, talk a little bit about what they are, and maybe some of their pros and cons, like why would we want to stitch it, finish it? Why would we want to ditch it? And we're thinking now, probably, we might have our own opinions, but when we post this video, we may also do some concurrent Instagram polls where we'll also put it up and kind of ask you, what do you think? Should we stitch it or ditch it?
Unless it's already been stitched or ditched.
And,
I guess
right.
even if it has been.
Happen in the next, but still we'd love to see, like you might say ditch it and we're like, psych, we stitched it already and we're done. Okay. Just so you know too, when we're saying ditch it, it might be we'll give it away to somebody. It might be that we repurpose the materials for something else. If we end up giving it away, we might throw it out here and say, like, hey, do any of you want to finish it? And we'll send it along. We might also just throw it away or compost it. So
it's funny, I looked up the word ditch in the thesaurus and one of the definitions was to break up with. So I'm going to think of it as I'm breaking up with you. I really appreciate the experiences we've had together, but I'm moving on.
I love that. Okay, we might break up with our project. Yeah. And I think it's so important as crafters that many of us will have a certain number of unfinished projects. And if you do feel done with it, somehow get rid of it, because I think otherwise unfinished projects can start to feel like a weight on you.
They can for me. I am not going to finish everything I start. I know that.
Right. And I think that's absolutely fine as crafters. And I think that's an unrealistic expectation to think we're going to finish everything. So we encourage you as well. You might want to look at a couple of projects and think, do you want to stitch it or do you want to ditch it? Do you want to break up with it as well? Right.
By the way, I want to give my daughter credit for stitch it or ditch it.
Yeah. Thanks, MK.
That's her idea.
All right. Why don't you go ahead? What's your first one?
Okay. Interestingly, 3 of the 4 things I'm going to show today are pandemic starts, which I didn't realize until I was sort of thinking about them and gathering them. So I made 2 colorful quilt tops during the pandemic, and I follow someone named Tara Vonnen on Instagram, and she's just an expert in color, and she was offering some online classes. So I took 2 of her online classes. One of them was called Creating Color Palettes, and that was way back in October 2020. And she just had so many ideas about how to pick colors for a quilt. One was something like, pick a color you really like, pick a friend for that color, and then pick a friend for the second color, and then fill in with some brights and some like something that's surprising, or make a bridge between the color. Anyway, I could go on. She had so many ideas about the color. So as soon as I could go to a quilt store, which I remember feeling like, will their bathroom be open? I wonder how many people will be in the store. Will I feel safe in my mask? I mean, it was
we at a certain age for like, we're always like, will there be a bathroom there?
But because at the height of the pandemic, you know, it was much harder, and I had to drive a ways to find a quilt store that was even open. The stock was really, really low. But I used the process, and this is huge, so we'll insert a photo, but I just put together a lot of triangles, and some of them became hexagons, and if I remember correctly, either the gold or this purple were my major colors. And I think, for instance, this neon green was my pop of color. And
yeah, we'll insert some pictures here so you can get a better feel for it.
Yeah. And I remember at the end of the class, she said, go make ugly stuff.
Yeah.
Just meaning you have to just go for it with color and really experiment. The second class I took with her is called the Give and Take Quilt, and it's an improvisational quilt. And when did I take that? Spring of 2021, because I remember on one of the classes, I had just gotten my vaccine and I wasn't sure if I was going to make it through. And on another class, the teacher, Tara, had just gotten her vaccine, and she was like, I think I have a fever, everybody. But it was such an exciting time to get the vaccine. And this one, again, we'll insert a photo. This is based on columns.
Oh, wow.
But it's not immediately apparent when you look at the quilt.
But when you stitched it, it was based on columns. Okay, we're definitely, I think these are not going to do it justice, so we'll definitely put some pictures or a video or something insert.
Right, but I just wanted to hold them up a little bit just to show, like, I was really going for it with colors. And she was really, and I wrote down I took some notes during the class, and some of her quotes were, don't get too set on anything. Don't be afraid to waste fabric. Not every block is special. And she also taught me the importance of taking so many photos along the way. Move something, take a photo. Move something, take a photo.
So you're never worried that like you're not gonna be able to get back to where you
recreate
were,
it, or you can look at values. You can change your photo to black and white. And I take so many photos now, so many more than I used to.
I used to quilt a lot. That was before I was knitting. I was really into quilting. I took a really fabulous class from Nancy Crow, who's quite a famous, she really does amazing things. But she said, if you're doing a series, it's not until you get to like your 11th or 12th quilt in the series. This is her, a really working artist, before you get something that you're happy with.
Right. So this is a perfect lead-in, because stitch it or ditch it.
Yeah.
These both have a lot of memories, and I like them okay, but they really feel more like explorations or practice. And I just don't know whether I'm going to finish them.
Okay, so by stitching, so what you have left to go with stitching in is actually doing the quilting part, or sending it out to be quilted, something like that.
Right, maybe the smaller one hand quilted, the bigger one.
And if you ditched it, would that mean giving it to somebody else that might want to use it? Does it mean just storing it away as a reference piece?
Probably.
Or throwing it away?
Well, how about making some project bags out of it or something like that? I would pick maybe a repurpose.
A repurpose, okay. So you're really kind of thinking stitch it, or maybe ditch it by repurposing for that. Okay.
Yeah, like, do I want to really put in all the time and effort and money if I have someone long arm?
That's true.
Because one of them's pretty big. Yeah, so stitch it or ditch it.
Okay, and I think that's a good thing, is sometimes we make things just to explore. And it's the process and what you learn from the process, and maybe the finished object, maybe you do break up with it when you're done.
Right. So maybe I did just explore and make some fabric that I can use. Maybe I should make a dress out of one of them. That just popped in my head.
Okay. So I think it would be fun to post some polls when we release this, because it might be kind of interesting.
Okay, I'm actually going to write down some of the things.
Okay, and I like this idea of the repurposing. I think the project bags or a shirt or a dress.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, Carolyn, what's your first one?
Okay, here's my first one, and my first one is cross stitch. And it is Jane Hardy. And it is by Hands Across the Sea. And the story behind this piece, I'll show you it in a minute. This is my very second piece. I finished first a monochromatic piece, and I've shown that on an earlier episode. And this one I thought would be a good second step, because it's like, oh, you got to change colors for this. And I'm using the Call for DMC on a 28 count linen and 2/2. So here's my progress so far.
I forgot about this, Carolyn.
You know what? Because I had it away, I forgot about it a little bit as well. So that's where I am. So you might be like, well, Carolyn, what's your problem here? Like, what's your dilemma for this? And here's my dilemma is, I think I've stalled out because I'm finding I prefer stitching with one thread on a little bit higher count linen. So 32 or 36, I'm really leaning toward 36. So here's my conundrum. Do I stitch it and finish it? And in fact, if I'm going to do that, it might be a nice travel piece because of the 28 count. The holes are just a little bit bigger. My other idea is, do I...
Oh, yeah. It is. I can see that without my magnifying light.
I can see it without my magnifying too. Do I stop this and start it again on a higher count fabric? I have all the DMCs. Or do I ditch it and maybe pass it on to somebody else? Maybe somebody else is also a beginning cross stitcher, and it's really great to start with 2 threads on 28 count, and we can just pass it around.
Or make a project bag. That's what I'm going to say for everything. Or we can make a project bag.
I can make a project bag out of it. Actually, it would be a cute part to the project bag where we are. So there we are. It's very fun and very colorful, as you can tell from knowing now a little bit more about me. I do like a bright color. So that's where I am with that one. Anna, do you have any gut feel?
I don't think you're going to finish it. So whether you want to give it to somebody or... I don't even know, like, should you go back and restart it unless it's really, really calling to you? I mean, don't you feel like we just keep finding more and more things we love?
We do have some good fill and grass down there, which I like.
Yeah, I that is pretty darn cute. Okay.
So I'm going to definitely put this up as a poll. Should I finish it, stitch it? Should I pause and do it on higher count fabric, or should I ditch it and probably pass it on to somebody else? So there's that one. Jane Hardy. All right, Anna, what's next for you?
All right, my next one is a needlepoint. And again, this is a pandemic start, early on in the pandemic. Summer 2020.
That's my question. How many of you all have a lot of pandemic starts? We were all stuck at home for a lot of the time.
It helped me from feeling lonely, and that rhythmic stitching is so calming. And yeah, I had some time on my hands.
Okay.
All right. Again, following on Instagram, needlepoint company from Portugal called Unwind Studios. They hopped on the scene. I still have so much admiration for this company. They work with artists, and the artist designs go on the canvas. The canvases are much more affordable than a hand-painted canvas from a needlepoint store. They're stitched in cotton. A lot of texture and specialty stitches, not just the tent stitch, are encouraged. Sometimes even the canvas is showing through and the coverage is not. I'm gonna try this. So I found
and they send the thread, so it was a full kit.
Yeah, now you can get it. Maybe then too, and I just didn't realize you can just get the canvas. So I also follow an artist, Johanna Rossi, and this is one of her paintings, and this was one of the needlepoint canvases that was offered. So I ordered that one, and I've done a lot of it.
Anna, you've done a lot.
And I've tried a bunch of stitches. In fact, Carolyn, I borrowed your needlepoint stitch book. I don't know if you remember. I still have that. And you
still have it.
I do. It's safe and sound.
Okay, good.
Wait, anyway. And it's stitched on a DMC that I've never seen before. It's really, really soft cotton. DMC number 4. I don't know. I don't see this routinely in the United States. So this is the state of things. I
might make a nice project bag.
There's something about the colors. I think the painting is beautiful. Maybe there's not a huge range in this particular DMC. I feel like some of the colors are a little off in a way that bothers my eye.
That is totally it for me.
It is? Do you agree?
Completely agree. All right, so because these are very sophisticated colors, let's just, for example, look at that orange. It is nowhere near that orange. I mean, I don't know if the camera is showing that. This is coming out as a very bright pumpkin orange, and that is a more, has some more muted colors in it. Or for example, the red, like the red with the pink on the bottom square, that pink that is so different.
So my original idea was I was gonna fold it in half and make a clutch with a zipper. I just thought it's very soft feeling. I thought it would look kind of mod.
You'd never use that.
Maybe one of our nieces would. Anyway, stitch it or ditch it. I think if I stitch it, I could finish it in a week. I think if I ditch it, I might make a little pouch out of part of it, or I might throw it away. It served its purpose for me. I think it was very, very fun. And I would order again from this company in a second. I love their canvases. I just think they're bold and beautiful. I think I would pick my own threads next time.
I think that's a big thing. I wonder if they, also as a new company, sort of had limited inventory of
again, it was pandemic times too.
Right, and so they may then have just done their best for pick, because I think that's what's making the piece look off, is I think the colors aren't right. So I love your idea of thinking like you would use this company again and buy the canvases, because needlepoint canvases
can maybe order today.
Yeah, so
if I ditch it.
And this was called Unwind Studio, and we'll put some links there. But yeah, picking your own
great
colors.
Customer service. I can't say enough about the company. For some reason, this piece is not working for me. So there we go. Stitch it or ditch it.
Stitch it or ditch it. All right.
Are you going to make a prediction for each one, or should we not say too much?
I think we should maybe, after we're done filming, make our predictions, but let's not say anything because we don't want to influence if we do polls.
Okay.
Because it would be really fun. And you might want to be taking some notes if you're watching stuff. Pull out a notepad. No, seriously, because you might want to be like stitch or ditch it. And what I'll also do is I'll have the YouTube chapters. So for example,
good.
when we put up an Instagram poll, you can easily scan in the video and take another look at the piece if you need to, if you need further reference.
Great idea.
You notice how we're assuming you're going to be like totally into the polls as much as we are already right now.
we think this sounds fun. We'll see how it goes.
All we need is one person. All we need is one person to vote, and we'll have
somebody in our family will do it.
Yeah, okay, that's right. We can do that.
All right, Carolyn, your second thing.
My second thing is the knitting, and it's called the Cruden vest, and I'm going to show you the picture from the pattern, which is on my, and the designer is Ysolda Teague, and this is a very typical Fair Isle vest, and I picked my own colors. Pull mine up. And here is what I have so far, and I'm essentially up to the armhole.
Yeah, you've done a lot. Wowzy, wowza.
Mm-hmm. I'm really happy with my color choices. As you can tell, there's that sort of pinky orange. I really like that.
Reminds me of your silks that you picked.
It reminds, of the silks. It is a Jameson Spindrift, so it's a real woolly wool, which is really great for color work. If you want to see it's always neat to see the inside of color work as well. All right, so here is my dilemma. Let me see if I know when I started this in the spring of 2016. So this is 6 years old. It's been sitting there. So why did it stall? So it stalled because I got up to what I thought from the pattern was the armhole. But sometimes I'm never quite sure, like, is that going to be a good length?
Oh, because it's not top down.
It's not top down. And so you really have to make your decision when you get to your armhole.
I see.
So I think I kind of got stuck there.
What do you do, like shimmy in and try to?
You can. So what you can do is you can take this off the needles or put another needle in here so you can get the full circumference of it. And then you just put it on and you kind of try to put it where your armhole is and see. So in fact, that's hard on the video, but you can see if it's at my armhole, it's going to hit about my hip there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So my question now is, how long would I make it? Should I finish it? If I finish it, how would I style it? Like, would it really be a piece I wear? I'm kind of careful about what is in my wardrobe. So I only want to bring in something that I know I'm going to wear or wear in multiple ways. Like, would you wear this over a white button down? Is that my only
That was
option?
my first thought, a little collar, white collar.
So I guess that's my question, is it reversible? So is it versatile enough to finish?
I think it would also be really cute with a short sleeve tee, personally.
That's true. And it's a nice wool. So I love the colors. I love knitting it. So here are my choices. Stitch it. And it would just maybe take a little thinking to decide, I'll get Anna, my final length of what I want. Do I need to go further and go? Mm-hmm. Should I repurpose it? And one of my ideas was, this is called ribbing at the bottom. Should I duplicate the ribbing at the top and make this a pillow?
Oh.
And because I could seam that closed, this bottom of the ribbing.
Is it a rectangle right now?
Yeah.
So you haven't done any
shaping? For these, there's no shaping up to your arm. So I could seam it there, put some ribbing there and seam it there and make a pillow. All right, so do I finish it as a vest, stitch it? Do I repurpose it as a pillow, or do I ditch it? And if I ditched it, I might offer, does somebody else want to finish it? Or it's beautiful wool that would just compost really nicely. And it was, again, really fun process. I enjoyed knitting it. So no harm, no foul. So also sometimes when things languish, my yarn is under our bench here, so I can't get it. Are they still in style? And I guess something like a Fair Isle vest.
Vests are in right now.
Oh, okay. I'm not really. But, and sometimes like a good knit.
Don't believe me. I think they are.
A good knit item never goes out of style in some ways. All right. So that's my thing number 2, the Cruden vest.
Okay. I really can't predict this one.
I can't either. So I definitely.
I know we said we weren't going to, but.
Well, don't predict now, but. Okay. I'm just going to have to put that between us as my yarn.
All right, okay. Number 3. Okay. I have this vision, we've mentioned a few times in our videos, it really gets chilly here in many evenings, even in the summertime, and I have this vision of having some handmade throws that we can just bring out when it gets chilly. Our extended family eats outside a lot together. What a lovely idea. Isn't that beautiful? And like I quilted this one a while back. It has maybe blue linen on the back. I forget to bring it out. Anyway, in this sort of vein,
oh, okay. So that's done. Okay.
Yeah.
You should maybe just leave it over at one of the chairs out in the patio.
Yeah. I think I'm afraid like the sun is going to...
I got to go into this. Is going to bug me.
Get that ball of yarn.
Okay.
So there's a company called Alabama Channon. They have a school of making, and I can beat 2016. In 2014, I started what's called the polka dot throw.
Oh, I didn't, for some reason I thought this was a skirt.
No, this is a rectangle. Oh. So I don't know if I would use it for a baby because it has paint stenciled on it. So Alabama Channon projects have layers. So there is like it's either black or navy blue. Maybe it's black.
I think it's black
with these stencils.
So the sort of almost like goldy green, that's stenciled, that's painted on.
And then these ones that have the blue showing through I've actually cut out the top layer after I've stitched around that circle. I'm going to show you.
Let's take it. I'm just going to hold it up just a little closer to see if anybody can
it's
see those. Oh no, you can see that's good.
Oh, there you go. That's great.
And you can see, for example, this one, she's stitched around the circle, so there's a little bit of texture there.
So here's a close up. I have this for reference. The whole thing will end up looking like that. And here's an even closer up look. So some circles just have stitching around them. Some circles have even a third layer of a turquoise.
Oh, is that under here? We just haven't.
No. This will go on top. So I will cut circles out of this and sew them on top of some of the metallic circles, and some of them are the cutaways, which I just showed. So this is classic Alabama Channon. Mm-hmm. All this layer, all this texture, some things cut away, some things added on. It's very, very soft, organic jersey. Mm-hmm. But I've been stalled for a long time, and I'm not sure why.
Let's think, why do you think you're stalled?
I find that cutting these out a little persnickety. Mm-hmm. I find starting and stopping the thread for every circle. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes I load 8 threads.
Do you have to? Can you run it between the layers to the next one?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Or would that maybe gap it?
Perhaps. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit of a funny shape and size. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a longer rectangle, but I do think it would feel good over a lap.
Or just like over your shoulders. Almost like a little bit of a cape.
Like, I don't know if these safety pins have been really 2014, so will there be holes? I should probably take out a few safety pins to look at it.
8 years. Well, the beauty of jersey, it's going to give and take it. The holes will close up if you have any.
Yeah. Now, stitch it or ditch it. Related to this, I also just want to show, I taught this technique to middle schoolers, I guess like right before the pandemic. I wanted to show them that you can make your own clothing without a sewing machine. So we all made our own t-shirts with all hand sewing.
Anna, forgot about this.
And all I have to do is, well, jersey doesn't unravel. So I can wear it like this, or I can put in a little sleeve, or I can fold under this neck and do a little stitching.
Can I just butt in here? I always butt in anyway. You are going to finish this by next week. You don't even have a choice. You have so little to do on that. Finish the neck. That is spectacular, Anna.
Well, thanks. And you'll notice it is long enough for me. So
the next time we film, she's going to wear this.
Oh gosh, that's a lot of pressure.
No, it's not. We don't have to film for a while. Seriously, how long? Seriously, you could do it by next week. Yeah. It'd probably be one afternoon sitting. And look at the back.
Maybe I'll try it on for you and see if I even need to do anything to it, or I can wear it as is.
Yeah, you might. Okay. So sorry, that was sideways.
No, that's. This one is the one that will. This still has hours and hours and hours and hours of work ahead. Mm-hmm. So stitch it or ditch it.
Okay, so stitch it. Or if you ditched it, would it be something that you would want to offer to somebody else? It seems like this is such high quality materials. You might want to offer it to somebody else. I would not throw this away.
I might even. There are a few people in our extended family who admire the Alabama Channon look. And I might even start there by offering it up to the lady fam.
Yeah. In our show notes, I'll link to Alabama Channing, and they have 2 really classic books on these techniques, and they also offer kits and things. Did you bring the books?
Well, this is the one where I got the t-shirt pattern from.
And then they have, I think this might be their, I can't remember if it's their first or their second, but they have 2. And how did the middle schoolers t-shirts turn out?
Okay, it was a fantastic week. Everybody's shirts were, some of them used the stencil that we had, and some of them were like, forget it, I'm making my own stencil. I just love to watch kids in the decision making. The thing was the fit, even though everybody had a t-shirt that fit, at that age, you're a little bit, many students, middle school students have, I don't know how to say it, like there's a particular look they like and they're self-conscious if the look is not quite that. So some of the t-shirts ended up to be, I think, not quite their look.
PJs.
So I don't really know what happened to them after that.
Okay, there's no poll, there's nothing. You've got to finish that top. It's beautiful, it's unusual, it's handmade, and you have like barely anything to do.
Okay,
we'll see.
Okay, Carolyn, your third thing.
Okay, my third thing. This is a bit of a classic thing for me. I start blankets so gung-ho, knitting or crocheting, and I don't always finish them. So this one I have probably, again, this has been stored away probably for 6 to 10 years.
I wish you could touch everything.
And it is crocheted. And it's my own design, but it's a very classic ripple crochet stitch. I can't remember exactly what it is. So if I stitch it, I'm just gonna have to take it back a little bit to see what I did for this.
It's pretty.
It is made with Taki classic cotton, which is a highly mercerized cotton. It has a really nice feel to it.
What is mercerized?
Mercerized, I don't know if mercerizing is a process, but it's cotton that has a bit of a shine on it as opposed to like a matte cotton. The colors just reminds me of the beach. So this just, and my husband's family has
your color.
There's my color. My husband's family has a beach house, so I could imagine finishing it and putting it at that beach house. If I was going to stitch it, I would need to get some more yarn to finish it off, and probably a lot of these colors, since it's been 6 to 10 years, I would probably have to introduce some more colors, which is fine because there's lots going on. I would just keep it in the same color families. All right, I still have, I think, things I stalled on. I don't know why I stalled. Sometimes I'll just stop with the momentum of something and you put it in your bin and then you just forget it's there. I still have a lot of ends to weave in, and sometimes after a while, I should be weaving them in as I go because that can sort of stall me out. I'm like, I have so much ends to weave in.
Yeah.
All right, so here are my options. Stitch it, like just sit down and finish crocheting it.
What portion of it do you think
I
is
am
done?
probably
a third or something?
I'm probably about a third done if I was going to make a full-on blanket.
Okay.
So option 1 is go ahead and stitch it. Like it seems like it's worth finishing. Option 2 is to maybe just finish off this dark brown or a couple more rows and make it like a lap blanket, whether you really use lap blanket, or make it like a special blanket that when one of the granddaughters are spending the night, even though it's a weird shape, it could be on their bed, or it could sort of be a granddaughter as is. The next option is to ditch it. And I think if anybody would want it, I would pass it on with whatever yarn I have. It's not enough yarn to finish it. And I couldn't tell you how to look at it. You'd also have to kind of deconstruct the crochet to see what it is, but it's a very simple pattern, or I might deconstruct it for you and tell you what it is. All right, so stitch it, Carolyn, just get it done. Stop where you are and just finish it, weave those ends in and make it a smaller blanket, or ditch it. Okay, that's the ripple blanket.
Okay.
All right, what's next for you?
See, I'm finding myself curious about what, as well as I know you, I'm not quite sure what decision I'm going to make with some of these.
That's why I pulled these out. Is it would be hard for me to make a decision because I look at these and I go, oh, I love these. I want to finish these. But yet 5 or 6 years have gone by.
Right.
So it's like one of those things where my actions are not matching what my mind is saying. So that's why I would like somebody else to just tell me.
All right, my last thing is actually a sweater that Carolyn showed in a previous video, the Hinagiku sweater, which I think is, the styling is so cute. I like this idea of a long t-shirt, or like a tunic even, with a cropped sweater. Do
you remember in our last video, which was yesterday for us, I was talking about how yoke sweaters are in. So there's another example of a yoke sweater with a little bit of detailing there.
Yeah, I know what the copyright is.
And when they started this, one of my daughters-in-law our sister Joan, you now know Joan,
right?
Anna, the three of them started the sweater, and then I was having FOMO. So I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, then I jumped in.
So pandemic start was winter 2020. Again, I'm like, I need some people. I need some girlfriend sister action. And as Carolyn said, 4 of us started it. And I'm making it with nerd string fingerling, which I made a little cardigan for my granddaughter. I think I need a little bit more length. And why did I stall?
Yeah, why did you stall?
I only have this much purple left. I have a lot of green left. And I remember you and I, Carolyn, talked about maybe making some stripes or things in the sleeves. I have not gotten the hang of sleeves yet. I often get holes when I pick up the stitches to do a sleeve. I find it really frustrating. I have tried magic loop. I just haven't done it enough. I haven't pushed myself or done it enough to really get the hang of a sleeve. So I'm almost finished with the length. I'm a little worried about not having enough yarn. I can't find, or last time I looked, I couldn't find any more of this. I do have a little gray
When was the last time you looked?
A while.
Because it might be worth going back and seeing, is that color back in stock?
Yeah.
The purple.
So
have you ever, would you ever wear a sweater that, you know, the sleeves only came to here? Or the fact that it's wool, would you want to, like, because you could also go 3/4 sleeves. Right.
I think any of those, because I could see like a tight, long white t-shirt under a short sleeve. I mean, I actually, I don't know if you remember, there's a little cabled gold sweater that's really, really cropped. That's a short sleeve sweater, and I wear it over dresses. So yes, I think if I stitch this, I think I'm going to need some help.
Sure.
I would need your help. Carolyn is a master knitter, and she's a great guider.
And let me tell you, it's almost impossible to pick up your sleeves and not have 2 little holes here. And there's a lot of techniques. I actually know a couple of techniques that will help minimize that. But then also you always have an end where you started your yarn, and some people just will go and sew up. So that, and sometimes people don't care particularly if the hole's in the back, it's just like a little gap. That's almost inevitable for that to happen.
Yeah, I think my most successful sleeve, you and I sat on your patio, and you must have helped me with some of those tricks. Yeah. I remember like we put some extra stitches on
and then you can knit them together. I think for you, the biggest challenge, because that one's easy, is to think if you can't get any more of the purple yarn, how would you want to change the design for that? And again, you could have options of making it a cap sleeve. And I think you're right, is first finish your length so that you know you're happy with that.
And I might have finished, I might have stalled because I might be finished. Well, I haven't.
And same thing, we have to just put this on some more needles, and so you can try it on and see that. I love your color combination, and that stitch is right there. Okay, so you're gonna either stitch it, or I mean, one option too would be stop where you are and just give it to me with the yarn, and I'll just do something.
Is that an option?
Finish it. It might be. It might be.
Maybe we should add an option that one of us will finish one of something somebody else's.
Okay, when we do the poll, we might put in a few of those as like, Anna will finish it for me or something like that. Because you've done so much on this, and I know mine is so wearable. Do you know, because I think it's a high-low hem on the pattern. Do you have the picture still?
Oh yeah. Maybe that's where I am.
Were you doing the high-low hem?
I do like the look of that. So that's just going to gobble up the rest of my purple, maybe.
If that's where you are. So you weren't holding it double. You just had, that's what you have left.
Yeah.
Okay, so because that's not going to be enough to do 2 full sleeves. Yeah. Okay, so stitch it or ditch it.
Maybe I'll peek to see if I can find that color.
I'd say before you make that final decision, see if there's any more. Do you have your tag still?
Yeah, it's called Darko.
Yeah. Nice. That looks so good though, Anna.
All right.
And I know from wearing mine, it's just such a wearable sweater.
Yeah. I do like it, but I am stalled out, baby.
Yep.
All right, your last one, Carolyn?
Okay, here's my last one. It's called the Jaycee cardigan. You can see most of my stalls are related to knitting or crocheting, because that's really what I do a lot of. And here is the cardigan.
I love that. Oh my God.
What my goal is I wanted a very neutral cardigan. I actually had knit this black cardigan that I absolutely loved. And I was really fun. There was a girls' weekend with all my high school friends. We hadn't seen each other in a long time. And one of my friends, she could not stop saying how much she loved it. So I'm like, okay, just try it on. And she tried it on. It looks so good on her. I'm like, you can have it.
Carolyn does this a lot.
Sometimes I'm like, whoever it looks best on,
right,
it has it. So I'm so happy she has it, but sometimes I'm like, oh, that was such a great cardigan. So I'm sort of looking to replace, just have a good basic cardigan.
So this is not the same pattern.
It's not the same pattern. It's not the same yarn. All right. So it's knit in Magpie Fibers. This is a yarn, and it's called her Swanky Sock, which is a thin, a light. It's merino with a little bit of cashmere and nylon. Now this yarn is something called washable. So if you're not a knitter, most wool, if you put it in the washer and dryer, it's going to felt up because wool has these little barbs that want to cling together. Sometimes the wool is chemically treated. It's kind of gross to make it. It's called superwash, which means they've coated the yarn so they don't have those barbs.
I didn't know that.
And that's what it's doing. And so you can wash and dry it. So a lot of people will find this wool. They'll say, oh, it feels so soft. And it's because there are none of those barbs. But that being said, a very high quality wool that hasn't been treated has all these great properties. And that's, I'd say within the last 4 or 5 years in knitting, there's been a real trend away from superwash, unless you need it for something like a baby garment or something that's going to be washed a lot, and to really go for a more woolly wool, a full-on wool. And that is so, I could talk about this for all day. It has so many great properties. So why am I stalled?
Yeah, why are you stalled?
Stall number one is I don't know if I want this workhorse cardigan to be a washable wool. Because it has, it's funny, wool has this great, it's still soft and supple, but it has some structure. This is very floppy.
Yeah.
I compare it because
yeah.
I now have a lot of my sweaters are that wool.
It almost feels like there's some silk or some rayon or something in this.
There's a little bit of nylon, there's a little bit of cashmere. The second thing is I'm not sure I like the fit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna insert a video and I'll have it on, and then we can, well, we won't know what exactly we're going to say in the video, but you'll see a video now of me wearing it. All right, so here's this fit of the cardigan, and I've got a sleeve. This is going to be the other sleeve. A couple things, and it will have a button, something called a button band. Oh, it's already on the button band, so it would close up. And with all knitwear, you have to block it to really flatten it out for that. A couple things I'm unsure of is how the band pulls in. Just the overall fit of the sweater.
Maybe, can you pull the front together and then turn around again so we get a sense of what do you mean by the band pulling in, because it wasn't really obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, that's better.
So the sweater is this, and then there's this feeling of the ribbing pulling in. And that was, a lot of sweaters do that. I think I tend to like it more flowing. Now, one option is I can always cut that off and knit it the other direction and do a different band. Okay. So that's the fit of the gray sweater.
All right, now I'm gonna try it on. Just hold it up a little bit, will you? I know we're gonna put a video in, but just.
So again, it's the yoke style, and there's a little bit of patterning there. One of my issues, and I probably would have talked about this in the video, the ribbing at the bottom pulls the whole sweater in, and I don't know if I like that look of it coming in. So it's gonna be hard to see until I'm wearing it.
I might try it on too.
Oh, let's do that. We'll do that on. All right, so here Anna now has the sweater on. All right, turn us around. Anna, that looks. Actually, it looks really good on you, Anna. So maybe one part of our poll is stitch it for Carolyn, stitch it for Anna, frog it, or repurpose it. All right, okay, right here, my thinking is finish it, and it's gonna be a good enough cardigan. Doesn't mean you can't knit another one with woolly wool.
Right, so it may not really be the replacement and exactly like you envisioned, but it might be good enough.
Good enough, and I'm pretty close to being done. Thing number 2 is just rip it out. We call it frogging in knitting. Just rip it out. It's good. It's a really nice yarn, and just use it for something that really should be washable.
It's a really pretty color, I think.
And then the last is just stitch it. I guess I could give it to somebody, ditch it, somebody wants it, or I could, again, compost it. You know, sometimes you just gotta let it go. So that's that one.
That was fun for me.
That was fun for me. Was it fun for you all? I don't know. If you thought this was fun, tell us, because we probably have more things like this. Maybe also, can we inspire you? Maybe on a comment, tell us something you're trying to decide, stitch it or ditch it, and other people can respond, or post it on Instagram. Maybe we should have a hashtag like stitch it or ditch it for that. And we'll also put it up at least a few polls, and see if we get more than one person, we might do a second poll and kind of keep it going and see where it is.
I told Carolyn as I was as I was thinking about digging some of these older things out, I was a little concerned that would make me feel like, ugh. But I can already feel like sort of this, the exact opposite of like sort of a lightening, because I think I'm going to solve some of these things.
Yeah. And a good solution might be ditch it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So 4 big things here.
Anna, we're at our thumbs up or thumbs down again. So here we are. We're going to talk about thumbs up. And these are thumbs up about things we enjoy when we're traveling. All right. You want to start off?
Okay. First of all, I want to say it's rare that I'm not spending time with my extended family when I'm traveling. So that's the kind of traveling I usually do. And I'm already, this is not thumbs up, a little bit stumped about how I'm going to stitch away from home. I'm so wedded to my huge magnifier lamp. She's really a good friend now, like my sewing machine. She's one of my best friends too. I can't imagine going some weeks without doing any cross stitching, and I'm not quite sure what to do. But now, thumbs up. Traveling. Fountain colas.
Oh, really?
I love going into 7-Eleven, Wawa, something like that.
Is it
getting the kind of ice does not matter to me, but I want a lot of ice, and I usually just get the smallest size, and that sip, like when everybody's getting a little grouchy or we need a stretch or something, like let's stop for a fountain cola. It's just strangely fun for me. Mm-hmm. Okay, number 2 is just the sense of freedom about being away from household responsibilities. I naturally like to do a lot of classic house. I love to do laundry. Love it. I do not mind cleaning my house. But when I'm away from those things, and I do feel a sense of freedom. So I guess there is a weight of responsibility that I really enjoy being away from when I'm traveling. And then the last thing I picked was I'm going to call it layers of conversations with people. I really like when we're away together as a big family and you just have all of these conversations throughout a week with different groups of people, different subsets of people, and it just sort of all adds up. There's always ends up by the end of the week to have like some just funny memories or some sort of catchphrase or a little joke that might be pretty long-standing. So, all right, what are your 3 thumbs up things about traveling?
It's interesting. We have a little bit of overlap. So one of my number 1 things is freedom. It just freedom from those everyday responsibilities. I know. It's funny because we have a little notes doc and I put mine in second and I'd already thought of mine. I'm like, oh, Anna put freedom too. And it's not like I don't like my household or like my just everyday responsibilities are a drag for me, but it's just something about the freedom. And I feel like when you have that freedom from those everyday responsibilities, you're really much more in the moment. You're not planning, like, when do I have to do something or thinking back, I should have done that. So I think sometimes when all of those little responsibilities are not there, it's just easier to be present in the moment.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. Yeah, I have to be home by this time to start the water for the pasta or whatever.
So you always have those things like thinking about the future or the past, whereas you don't have that always when you're traveling. Thing number 2 is I love the unexpected. It might be an unexpected beauty of something you see. It could be an unexpected, like you're just walking down the street and you go into some art gallery. So it's also that sort of that improvisation, just kind of doing things on the fly. And it might be some unexpected conversation you have with somebody. Like when we traveled across country last year, we just met so many interesting people and your conversation may just be 5 minutes, but just that unexpected is really fun. I think there's also something about having the unexpected problem or something that comes your way while you're traveling. And I think that's really good for us all to have things happen to us that it's sort of like a problem. It's just good practice problem solving. And I think the more that you can go like, okay, yeah, some bad things are going to happen to me along the way, but I know how to cope with them. I know how to deal with them. I can problem solving my way out. I think that
might laugh a little bit.
You have to laugh, right? You might not laugh in the moment, but maybe the next day you'll laugh about it. But I feel like that also helps you be less fearful about life in general. So I do think an important part about traveling, I just love that unexpected. And then the last thing for me is I love wherever I go to visit a craft store. Traditionally, it's been knitting or fabric stores. Now it's about cross-stitch stores. And I feel like just going in and maybe having a little conversation with someone that works there, just seeing what they're offering is a great way to get a feel for the place. I mentioned earlier that I used to work one Saturday a month at our local yarn store, and this one woman once came in, she goes, I'm visiting from Chicago. what's something that you offer here at the yarn store that I'm not going to get anyplace else?
Oh, so she asked that specific.
She asked that specific question. I think that's a great question. So sometimes I'll go in and I'll be like, is there anything special, you know, that's local to you?
Like a local dyer or something.
Local dyer,
Yeah.
local designer or something like that. So I feel like
Cool.
a little craft store gives you a good vibe of
Yeah.
the areas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's my favorite souvenir, I think, from a trip is something from or I'll add paper store, a really good stationery store.
It was fun. My younger son and daughter-in-law, they lived in Queens, New York for a while. It was great to go out and visit them because there was this fantastic store in Brooklyn. It's called the Brooklyn General Store. And every time I visit them, I'd go and I'd pick yarn for a project. And then my goal was the next time I visited, I would wear into the store what I had made with that yarn.
That's great.
And then get yarn for the next project. And I probably did that about 4 times. So, and then it's also like a nice souvenir because I'll be like, oh, I picked out this yarn with my daughter-in-law and then we made something. So it's fun.
Okay. All right. Let's see what unexpected things
Yeah,
happen
okay.
as we continue to try to
I'll put a few of those
make videos this summer. Yeah.
Okay. So until next time,
Happy crafting and stay curious.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.